Well, I'm back. So, hope everyone had a good week. I had a pretty good week. Um, it's been hot the last few days around here in the Central Valley. It was about a 100, 105. It's kind of awful. Usually, every summer it's like that for like 40 days straight. But this year, we were very lucky. It's been like 95, which to some that sounds awful, but for us here, that's like great. I mean, it's paradise. I could work outside all day like that, so I can't complain. But yeah, so it's been a good one so far. I'm here to try to shoot this video. So this is one of those 3 MS170s that our buddy Marty gave us to get tuned up here and fixed and see what's going on. It sounds like all of them need a cylinder, so I just went ahead and ordered 3 cylinders, and hopefully that's what we're going to be doing. I already took one apart, kind of got an idea of what was going on, and it's over there in the hot water and some soap and some degreaser, kind of soaking, getting some of the grime off it. They're pretty nasty. You know, saws, they're just a different kind of gross. That bar oil and everything that gets on them with tree sap and shavings and dirt, it just makes the perfect concoction to just never want to come off, no matter what you do. Low key considering either doing a bootleg parts washer, maybe buying like a used Facebook Marketplace dishwasher, throwing some filters on it or something. I got hot water out here in the shop. Maybe try to wash parts in that. I mean, what's the worst thing? I'd be out maybe 65 bucks. Give it a try. Or we have to go all the way and buy a real parts washer, which sounds kind of expensive. So we'll see. But for right now, we're gonna take this thing apart, kind of go through it together and see what's wrong with this one, see if there's any issues, or see if we have the same issue as the last one. I saved these rings here. The exhaust side of the cylinder looked pretty good, but under investigation, the intake side, I think, has our answers to why these saws have no compression, and it's right here. Let's see if I can bring this close where you can see it. Look at that. The ring is worn. Look at that. And the intake sits about right here. This is where the intake is on this ring. And the other ring, so the bottom and the top ring are opposite from each other. The other ring is clocked like this, and it is worn on this facing. So that looks like that's the issue, is we're getting some fines ingested in these saws. They do have a pretty inferior air filter system. They just got that little tiny flocked kind of material that is just held down by, let's see here, the compression of the top covers. You can see, I mean, that's all you got. Just that little guy right there, fighting against all of the elements trying to come into this saw as it's running, you know, at 6,000 to 7,000 RPMs while it's cutting. And if you look in that one right there, it's got fines already. And that's a brand new filter. So I do maybe have a solution to that. We're gonna try, which we're probably gonna be putting on the one saw that I plan to do a little bit of just tinker around porting on. So we'll see how it goes. So let's get into this saw, and we'll go from there. Well, hopefully that's a little bit better angle for disassembly of this saw. Hopefully this sounds okay. I had tried the mics, like I had said in the last video. I got some. They were Amazon, and I mean, what do you expect, right, when you're paying that cheap? But it had good reviews, so I gave it a shot, but they just don't sound right. It sounds like I'm trying to talk through an air filter or something. So we're just gonna go with it. Hopefully there's not too much ambient noise. Although I'm out in the country, I do live along a rural highway, you know, about a half mile off. So every now and then a siren or something will come zipping by in the evening, but hopefully you guys can hear okay. So let's go through this thing. Maybe we can kind of diagnose as we go. I have a feeling it's going to be the same thing as the other one, just probably low compression due to ingestion of materials that you wouldn't really want in there. You can already see right here, look at that. There's some nonsense already in there, kind of collecting around here and then kind of working its way up and around that filter. So we'll see if that's the case. But let's go through it. So this one is a lot cleaner than the last one. The last one was really gross, really crummy. So Hopefully this one's a little bit more enjoyable and not so harsh on the hands. Get this old chair here tuned up. Maybe. It's an old chair. It's been here 100 years. Good enough. All right. So I have most of my tools from when I took the last one apart. Yeah, this one's much cleaner for sure. So probably just start with kind of how I did with the last one. I honestly got the wrap off, the intake, muffler, all that. Get the bar off. Go from there. So let's see. Don't want this bar on, it just gets in the way. That one's way tight, and that one's way tight too. Right before I did, I had picked these up, these three MS170s up. I had just taken a 170 back from Marty. He said that one of the guys had stripped out one of these studs on the saw, but luckily it had actually not stripped. It had just been clamped down so tight on this bar nut against the bar that it was unscrewing in the case. So it wasn't stripped. I was able to actually take the bar off with the stud, put it in a vise with some soft teeth on it, and spin the nut off, and able to get the stud back in the saw with some thread locker. And I didn't have to worry too much about having to fix it. It would have been really bad if we were having to actually change the stud due to stripping. That's kind of not fun, but luckily it was an easy fix. Just needed some thread locker, you tighten back down, and hopefully those guys don't tighten them so much. Marty had told me that he's got some guys working for him and they really like to make sure these bars don't come loose, but it looks like they're doing a little bit too good of a job. So set that over there. Let's put our cover to the side. We don't need that right now. Right. Yeah, still much cleaner. I'm so happy. The last one was gross. So see if this little guy can just kind of pop it off there without chewing that up too much, because that makes it much easier. Now I don't know if this is necessarily the proper way to do this. I was never a saw tech or anything. I'm learning as I go on these saws. But what I have learned, it seems like when you try to baby these saws, they don't really like to listen to you. You kind of have to manhandle them a little bit to make them do what you want to do. Otherwise, they won't come apart. You kind of got to push and pull on them a little bit to get them where you want them to go. They fight pretty hard to come apart. So hopefully we don't have too much of a challenge here. And also, I am always open to criticism and education. There are a lot of keyboard warriors out there that know everything, but I'm always open to learn. If someone's done it before and they got a better solution, I will hear them out. Because like I said, I'm not a saw tech. I'm a nurse, man. Work in a cardiac cath lab. I work on people's hearts. I do all their sedation. I put people to sleep when they're having their procedures. So this is just kind of on the side. This is all for fun. So. And the reason I became a nurse is my sister is a nurse, and I kind of had some health issues when I was a kiddo. So I kind of was around a hospital here and there, and I was always so fascinated with how kind they were, especially the nurses to me. And it really kind of changed my heart in that direction. My dad was a heavy diesel mechanic. And man, he broke his body. He worked in the heat and the cold, and he did not, he didn't want me to do that. He always told me, do something that doesn't break your body, that you can enjoy. He said, you want to do this mechanicking stuff, do it on the side for fun. Don't do it when you have to. So I kind of tried to take his advice, and I don't regret it. I'm warm in the winter and cool in the summer. The cath lab is 60 degrees, and it can be 105 outside, and I'm wearing a jacket at work, so I cannot complain. And it's so fulfilling that I get to help people. So it totally worth it. Great career. Glad I made the decision. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. But if you like helping people, you want to change some lives, I'd say go for it. It's worth it. All right. Look at that. Yeah, this saw is so much cleaner. Jeez. Let's see here. These saws do come apart pretty easy. This one I can't remember. Okay, so I gotta get this side off first. Let's see. I think last time I pulled that up. Come around with it. Oh, I remember what I did. Push down, but I did not pull the trigger. I just manually pull the throttle, and then the throttle linkage comes right out. Let's see. If I can take this thing out here. There we go. Boom. There we go. And then it should just out of there. Right on. I have a tendency, even when I put bolts in bolt bins like this, I somehow always lose one. You know, it's annoying. It's like the 10mm socket theory. Everybody's got a set of metric sockets that doesn't have a 10mm on it because they just disappear. It's like they're designed that way. So, like magic or something. Let's see here. That off. Choke cable. I'm pretty sure this has to come out of the way to get everything else out of the way. But it comes out fairly easy. It just pops out. These non Pro Series saws, they're basically they kind of just pop together. You just got to find the right position for things, and they just kind of come apart like that. There we go. And you just kind of fiddle with this out. There we go. And this little guy here, you just push forward. I take this without stabbing myself on a flathead screwdriver. Just wonderful to do. There we go. Look at that. Out it goes. And now this whole hook here and see if we can just, without puncturing the line, see if we can just pop this whole fuel line off, and there it goes. Beautiful. Carburetor off. This is one of those Strato MS170s. It's got that little tiny vent on the top. I believe that's how it works. It's got that little intake. It's got the secondary secondary flow, maybe? Assuming that's how it works. I don't know. I'm learning. But I'm pretty sure this is kind of one of them EPA carburetors. That's what this is all about. I actually ended up buying more of the Warborough type clone carburetors that doesn't have that on there, but I can just take the top off and put it on that one. The reason I bought the MS180 carburetor is because I'm gonna do a different video about that saw that I'm gonna try to kind of make a MS170 180 hybrid. Is the MS180 has a tunable carburetor, which these ones don't, and that's not always optimal for performance. It might be for you know EPA regulations and whatnot. They're trying to control what the homeowner or the purchaser of the saw is doing as much as possible, and an easy way to do that is simply just make the carburetor not tunable. They can put it at the settings they want, and that's where it's going to stay pretty much. So, intake's off, that's off. Let's get some of our tools out of the way. And I believe, if I remember correctly, this handle is literally kind of just sitting on here. It's kind of a trip. It's not even bolted on. It's literally sitting on there with some rubber grommets. And last time I had to kind of like force it off with just some pressure. Yeah, let's see if I can do that without tearing these up. I kind of just like forced this through. And like I said, I kind of had to manhandle it just to get it to work. Maybe. Kind of like went through. Let's see. I did it with both last time. Kind of worked my way around like I was trying to get a bead on a tire or something. There we go. Don't block the camera too much. Man, those are hard. I'm making this harder on myself. Doing it that way. Uh-oh, dog hit you. Let's get you back in the right spot. There we go. There we go. Sweet. There's one. There's the sirens I was talking about. We're outside of town. We're not too far from a highway. And sometimes you get some, this is kind of the main highway to two different hospitals, one on which I work at. And so you'll hear these guys zipping by all the time. There we go. And then the last one is down here. They're tough. Tough to get out. This one. Let's see, baby, come on. There it goes. So almost halfway up. So too soon. We're working our way out now. Maybe. What we got there? I think we're there. Maybe. I'm just imagining things. Yeah, we're there. Just gotta go that way a hair because it doesn't want to. That's why it's not going any further. It's stuck against the chassis there. That saw. We can just pop that off. It just comes off by hand. Once the intake's up, and there we go. Cool. Handles off like that. There it goes, and then just walks out of there. Crazy. Not a single bolt on it. Just rubber grommets holding it on. Typically, I don't really mind. I don't like too much gas or oil in them because they tend to leak everywhere. Or while I'm taking them apart, it makes it a lot harder. There's just a little bit of oil in there, no big deal. That's not gonna play too big of a role in our work. All right, so let's get this chain brake off and this muffler off. Most of the stuff on these saws is 8mm. 8 or 10. I don't know. It's kind of nice though. You can pretty much take this saw apart with a key-handle, Torx, metric socket, and a screwdriver. Makes it really good if you're out in the field somewhere and you have an issue. Spark arrestor, I have those. This one is much cleaner. The other one had, like I said, it was nasty, but it also had carbon almost completely occluding that exhaust. So wonderful fuel they make nowadays. You know, I only run VP 40-to-1 premix ethanol-free fuel. It doesn't chew up the systems, and you can leave your saw sitting for months, and it seems not to go bad. I got carbureted saws, and I also have a 500i, and they can sit for a month or two at a time, and I will take those bad boys out, fire them up, and they run like they never set. So I think think that fuel works because I've tried the ethanol stuff, making my own mix, and then I come out, you know, if I don't have any need for firewood or have no reason to run the saws, if I'm not starting them all the time, they tend to stop running. They start to get gunked up, and the carburetors get pretty nasty. So I'm gonna lose that spring. I'm try to go somewhere. All right, let's see, a little tiny clip there. It's a pain to get off without shooting across the shop. There we go. Get this guide off. Just gotta pop that end off, slide that forward. And there's a spacer. Can't lose that little spacer. All right. Let's see. Just like that. These things are so simple. I love it. It's cool. It's cool how simple they are. Now, if I remember correctly, I had to take that off to allow that thing to walk out far enough so I could take the whole take this whole chain brake off together as one little piece. So it'll walk off together. Another one coming by. Let's see. Look her off. Am I hung up somewhere? Doesn't look like it. Sometimes you need an old flathead pry bar. Give us a little pressure from a different angle. And look at that, it's coming out. Sweet. Love it. That's another thing I like about saws. A lot of fun to work on because, I mean, they're really cool pieces of machinery, but they're kind of like entry-level mechanic. I mean, you kind of learn a thing or two here and there. You can kind of YouTube everything you need to know about a saw because you have just so many cool guys out there that are doing it, and you can kind of learn how to do anything on them. There it goes. Now it wants to walk out straight. You know, they're simple. Makes them cool. You know, gotta love a two-stroke. I don't want this guy to go a mile either. Didn't go anywhere, just stabbed my finger. That's all right. This sprocket is worn, but it's not as worn as the other one. The other one was really bad. I ordered a new one for the last saw. Bearing looks pretty good. Crank looks good. Man, before the, ooh, look at that. That clutch has gotten hot. Look at that, all blued. She's cooked. Might need a new one of them. Might need a new one of them. Those are muffler bolts. This is a 19 millimeter. All my tools, well, my good tools are at my other shop, which I need to move down here. So I was kind of like freehanding this one with just a wrench, 19 millimeter wrench, and some pull cord or some paracord, which isn't probably completely the right way to do it, but if it doesn't break anything and it works, is it really wrong? So we'll get to that in a second. Let's take this off. And it's also crazy is taking off the pull rope, and you're basically splitting this chassis in half. I have an impact driver with long bits in this size. I don't know why I didn't get them out before this video, but I guess it doesn't take that long. We're stripping her down pretty quick. So we're just gonna take it down in this video. I think I'm gonna do a video of this tearing this saw down, just in case someone's ever kind of seeing what it takes. You know, maybe they want to redo their 170 or try to fix something on it. You know, this is gonna give you a basic process. And then I want to do a video of putting it back together with the new jug that I'm going to be putting on a stock jug. And then my plan after that is to do one of these saws with the MS180 170 hybrid, where we got an MS180 block in there with a 38 millimeter piston instead of 37, as well as the MS180 adjustable carburetor. I think I might try to get the TIG welder out and do a muffler mod, add of course a spark arrestor, but some sort of kind of power port or a little tiny additional exhaust pipe coming off of this thing to kind of give it some more flow. But you gotta be kind of conservative, I think, because how small this saw is, it's gonna want back pressure, I think, to get its torque. These little engines, they need a little resistance to make the power that they do. So put that back in there for now so we don't pour bar oil everywhere. It's a really simple little cap retention design. I know a lot of people don't like the homeowner saws, and they kind of think they're pathetic, but I think this little thing's kind of cool. How simple it is. I mean, man, it's like every part does two things, you know, it seems like on this thing. Ooh, that looks tight. There we go. It's like it's designed to be simple and cheap. I mean, that's what it was intended to be. You know, it's not made to be fallen redwoods. It's made to be doing projects around the house, and I think they're a really good saw for that. You know, they're just great. Why lug around a 261 or a 271, 391, something big like that, you know, to run a 20-inch bar when maybe you're just cutting, you know, don't lose that spacer, or you know, just cutting, you know, little limbs, little 4 or 5 inch limbs on a tree. You know, why lug around the extra weight? Yeah, so that's part of the choke. Kill switch is all right here. I lose that little clip. It's to get away from us. It goes to there. And this guy, it's kind of, you can see it's just clamped down there. I hope you can see that. Just clamped down there, and you just kind of thread it out, and then gently it comes right out. No big deal. Save that. I got another one over there. The other saw. Making sure here. I think either did I overshoot this toss with this little choke lever? I sure did. Because I was gonna say, I was like, I have the choke lever for the other one, I'm pretty sure. But if not, they're there. All right. So let's go to the clutch side real quick, and we can see about getting that off. So what I did, like I said, my way was kind of bootleg because that was the way I could do it at the time. I should have got a 19 socket, and I could have just zipped that thing off. And if I remember correctly, these are reverse thread. I think the only saws that aren't is McCulloch. I think that's what Tin Man was saying. I think it's McCulloch. So let's see. All right. So and the other saw I took apart like a week ago. I can't remember already, but that's okay. It's all right not to know everything. So I just stuffed a bunch of paracord down in here. Kind of create a soft stop. It wouldn't maybe potentially mess up the piston or the cylinder. Just cram as much of it in there as I can reasonably get without it getting stuck. Sometimes you can pinch it coming back up, and then it's kind of in a weird spot. You can't get it out. Then you got a whole other problem. If you're not wanting to take the cylinder off, change the clutch or something like that, you might be in a pickle. if you get that paracord stuck in there. Let's see here. So we go around till it starts to pinch. There we go. And last time I just held that on there, and I kind of had to imitate a impact there. Look at that. Sure enough, reverse thread, righty loosey. Man, that thing is cooked. I need a new one of them bad boys. And there's a spacer behind here, kind of like a little shield. And then there's our, I think that's the oiler. Yeah, so it drives the oiler. That's right. It looks weird though. Why is it facing in the other direction? Oh, that's why. Okay, makes sense. Spins with the crank, and then spins the little gear there for the oil pump. All right. So having a brain fart there for a second. I was like, what in the heck? I'll lose that. It's a little clip that goes behind there, behind the chain brake. It's all part of that. And now, let's see, we gotta back off this a little bit, give us some room, and that paracord comes out, just like that. And that's a good way to change the clutch without damaging the cylinder if you don't have the fancy tools, you know. Sometimes you don't. This hose, hopefully, is soft enough. I don't want to damage it. And I can just kind of gently guide it out so I can pull this tank. This tank is just sitting here. The last one I did this, and the hose is broke. So, which is probably a sign that it needed to be replaced anyways. That one's pretty soft still. Funny bent. It's kind of funny. All right, look at that. That side's gone. The oil is a lot more messy. It comes out from behind here. We gotta get the flywheel off anyways. So it's a size. I got it on the impact. Well, it's probably metric, but this is America, and I have all my metric sockets down the street. So, you know what Americans do. We fit a lot of the standard sizes to the closest metric. So this is a 1/2 inch, and I just kind of, and it is lefty loosey, of course, because it's the other orientation. It's on the other side of the rotation. The saw is always, of course, rotating this way, and so being a standard rotation righty-tighty, automatically that rotation would help maintain the tightness of this little bolt here, this nut. There it is. So would that be a 13? Probably a 13. Some more sawdust in there. Last time I had to pop this one off with a puller, which, like I say, I don't know if the way I'm doing is proper. It was the way I did it, and it didn't break anything, so hopefully that's okay. And if somebody knows better, please feel free to let me know, or send me a link to the tool that they're using. If I can buy it, I'll do it. As long as it's not, crazy expensive. I just got this little flywheel puller here, one of them. I got to get my other ones. Like I said, my tools are at the other shop. At my parents' place, me and my dad always did everything together until his unfortunate passing. He recently lost his battle. Well, you know what? I don't say lost battle of cancer. You know what? I redact that statement. I don't think anyone loses a battle of cancer, even if it does take your life. You lose your battle of cancer when you let cancer take your life from you. When you let it take your joy and your kindness and your heart and who you are as a person. But even if you lose your life, if you maintain your kindness and your compassion and your love for your family, and you are at peace with who you are, then I don't think you lost anything. Because I think the most human thing you can do is you know, acknowledge sometimes that you're gonna die, and you're not gonna let that take who you are away. And just like that, we're off. But yeah, so I won't say that. My dad didn't lose a battle of cancer. My dad was tough until the end. He was okay and at peace with what was happening, and he had had a long, hard life, but he'd also had a really good life. He had a lot of fun, and but like I was saying, I did everything with him, and now I'm kind of learning to do everything without him. And man, let me tell you, that guy forgot more than I'll probably ever know. I still catch myself. He's been gone probably a little over a month now. I still catch myself like, hey, I need to jump on the phone and ask my dad about how to tune this carburetor, or how to fix this, or to go about taking something apart, because he's definitely done it. And I forget that he's not here. So hopefully he's looking out for me. Hopefully he thinks I'm doing okay. So, but back to this saw. So I'm taking the studs off. We're basically at the bare bones of the saw. There's 4 bolts under this saw that secures the block to the chassis. You know, unlike a pro saw, that the split case, the case itself is actually part of the engine. These saws literally have a drop, like basically a block that's isolated from the chassis, and it's just secured there by a couple bolts, you know. It's just kind of secured, just kind of sitting there, you know, kind of doing its thing. Yeah, very simple stuff. And then this here on the intake, it doesn't have like a kind of like a hose clamp. It's literally just a band, like a plastic band that just kind of keeps tension. And hey, I guess it works. So otherwise I'm not gonna do it. Get all my bolts out here. Ah, there we go. And our engine's basically free floating in there. We just got to get this intake out, and without ruining it. This one has a little bit different intake, does it? Or am I just tripping? That's just a gasket. Look at that. And I was like, oh, this looks different. It's not. It's just the gasket. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. These are hard little gaskets to find sometimes. You might want to hold on to those if you're on a budget. I'm on a budget, so it's a good working gasket, and otherwise it needs to be replaced. I won't. Don't lose that little plastic clip. It's kind of helps kind of maintain the shape of this intake and kind of keeps it in place. But man, they sure are easy to lose. Now this intake's awfully fragile, so like I say, this part I kind of close my eyes and hope for the best. I try to just cave it in gently with the screwdriver first, and then I try to do it with my finger after that. Maybe try to be as gentle as I can. Let's see. And then we kind of just walk this block out to the side a little bit. Like I say, gently. As slow as smooth and smooth as fast. If you go ripping that intake out of there, you might have just created a whole other problem for yourself. Now you gotta worry about getting an intake. And look, like I said, it's not a hose clamp. It's just a little plastic ring. You just gonna pop off. Boom. And then pop. There goes the intake. Now I'm really excited to see what's wrong with this engine. This one seemed to have more compression than the last one. The rings look like they're in a little bit better shape. Let's see if I can bring this up here. Get you in the light. Ooh, maybe not. Might have to fire up the, there we go. You can see on that side. I see some shine. Looks like that piston might be worn. It's awfully shiny. We're gonna crack it apart and we're gonna take a look. Let me just blow off this block here. I'm not handling so much junk. Now, let's take that boy apart. Look at that, there's the whole case. That's the basics. Oh, little moth wants to be in the video. He's somewhere. He's gonna make his cameo eventually in here. All right, so let's split this boy. Ooh, tight. Gotta be careful. Should get the impact out. What size is this one? 225? Should have one of those around. Let me see. T25. I know I got one of them. Let's see here. T25. Get the battery off this impact. Alright, got the old Cobalt impact driver here. This one's actually kind of a dud. It's like sometimes randomly it just stops working. It's like it free spins and then just shuts off, and I gotta kind of like let it sit a while. Tried to warranty it and it wouldn't do it, of course. So I got a brand new Metabo, but I really don't want to get it all greasy, so I kind of just take my chances with this one. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, my four case bolts, and now this bad boy usually should just split apart, and there it goes. It's kind of like to look in the bottom right away, kind of see what I see. Fingers are pretty cruddy. Let's see if I clean my fingertip off. Let's see what's kind of fines are in the bottom. Not too bad. It just looks like, I mean, there's stuff in there for sure, but you know, it's not horrible either. So we're gonna clean it all up anyways. We're gonna go all through it. Now kind of our moment of truth here. Gonna pop this cylinder out. There we go. My hands are dirty. Let's see, seals. We're gonna be putting new ones of them on. Because we're already this deep into it, right? A little clip on there, holding that one back, but that's okay. We're gonna fix the other. Big thing is let's see if this thing's got any play in it. Now I'm trying to see if I got any direct up down. A little bit of rock, but I'm pretty sure that's okay. It's more about the up down tolerances, and I'm not really, you know, I mean, we're not doing a super scientific nonsense here, but I'm not really feeling any too much rocking. So pop the rings off. These rings look more consistent. These ones look better. How not to do that? I mean, yeah. So this is our intake side. You can see it's starting to get a little shiny down here on the bottom, but not horrible. This side is the exhaust side. You can see there's a little arrow right there telling us that's the exhaust. It's the direction of flow. But this piston looks a little discolored. I don't know. Looks different than the other one. That maybe going with that clutch, this thing might have gotten hot. But the rod doesn't look hot. You know, usually you'll see bluing in here if it's been real hot. I don't see that, so it doesn't like it was starved. Probably just worked really hard. So I got a new piston with the new piston kits that I ordered. I'll probably crack those open real quick, although this video is about over with, which has been long enough, probably boring right now. But the cylinder doesn't look too bad. You can't really see in there. Let me see if I can get a light going. Let's see what I got. There we go. Kind of see. This cylinder doesn't look horrible. What I'm looking for is like, I'm looking for like scoring or like wear marks, like where the plating's starting to come off. And look in there. That looks pretty good. This side looks pretty good too. Yeah. Doesn't look too bad. I can see a little bit of the factory cross hatching. There's some wear there, but I mean, if you can't feel it with your nail, it's not really a problem. You know, this cylinder feels pretty good. This one might just be a piston. You know, seriously. This one might just be a piston. Piston and some rings, but we'll see. I'll talk to Marty. Maybe if he wants me to go ahead and throw the aftermarket jug on it, being we got it, we'll do it. But never do something we don't have to, and it's always good to try to stick with the OEM the best, you know, to the best of your ability if you can. Let me get that box over here real quick from HL Supply. I think they're out of Florida. I heard a lot of good things about them in terms of aftermarket parts as well. I think you can get some OEM parts on there. I'm not too sure, but I'm in no way affiliated or sponsored by them or anything like that. I just heard some good stuff about their products, and so for this product, okay, let's do it. So they shipped me basically complete cylinder kits for the MS170, and then all the seals, bearings, everything. It looks like Farmer Tech stuff is all their bearings and stuff, and I'll give them a try. I'll see how they feel. We'll give them a check, you know. So I mean, you can't complain. Sometimes I'll see guys, they're like, man, this stuff is just not OEM, and they pay like 19 bucks for a cylinder and versus like $150 OEM cylinder. And it's like, well, I mean, what do you expect, right, dude? So I'm not too shocked sometimes with quality. There's the bottom of the case for the MS180, because I bought a complete short block 180 to do one of these saws to make it a 180 hybrid. And there's our sprocket and roller bearing there for the saw. That had a pretty toast sprocket. Ooh, there's our MS. There's that Warburg Zama clone carburetor I was talking about. Look, right there. It's got the adjustment screws, so we have a high and a low jet and an idle jet. And all we're gonna do is pop off the top, and that way we can put it in this saw. And then we have some adjustment. You know, this Marty Clevenger, he's working at some different levels of elevation there in his business, and so he needs to be able to adjust these carbs to make these saws run appropriately. This is the MS180 crankshaft. Let's see. Looks pretty solid, you know. Only assembly will tell. We're gonna give it a shot. But yeah, Warhawk cylinder assembly. So which one? MS170, MS180. They put the MS180 the other direction to make sure. Let's crack open a 170 real quick and see what she looks like here. check that out. Yep, MS170 cylinder, pistons inside, rings. It says high quality cylinder. It's got to be high quality, right? That's, you got to trust what they're telling you. Exhaust port looks pretty similar in shape. Sometimes they're like a completely different shape and you're like, what did you even send me? But it doesn't look too bad. So all right on HL Supply. I'll use you guys whenever I can. We got some good stuff here, so I'll put their link down in the description there, this video. So well, thank you guys for watching. It looks like that's where we're going to stop. We disassembled this saw. Next video will be hopefully putting it back together, as well as I'll have the other saw put back together, and then we're going to be doing our MS180, MS170 hybrid saw. See how that turns out with a couple other performance parts. So let's see here. Thanks again, you guys. Take care.